Yes, ma'am.
All right, please introduce yourself, state your name and DOC number for the record. I can't hear you guys. Muted.
Walter Mathews, 71868.
Mr. Mathews, my name is Brennan Kelsey, along with me is Ms. Bonnie Jackson. Mr. Pete Freeman will be your parole panel. We'll ask you some questions. You can respond. At the end, you can make a statement. We'll take a vote to understand the process.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Walter Mathews, DOC number 71868.
Yes, sir.
You have parole eligibility date 6/17/2022. No good time date, full term life. For murder. That sound correct?
Yes, sir.
Your first felony offender?
First,
First felony,
yes.
first felony offender, yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right. We'll have, at the appropriate time, we have several people that will speak in support. Andrew Hunley, Edna Matthews, at the appropriate time they'll speak. We have opposition. Carrie Fedeleck and Tanya Campbell will speak at the appropriate time. Thank y'all for being here. All right, Matthews, how old are you?
I'm 72, sir.
How many years have you been incarcerated?
I've been incarcerated since 71, sir.
How many years have you been incarcerated?
1971, 51 years.
You've been down for 51 years.
Yes, sir.
How old were you when you committed this crime?
So I was 19 at the time, sir.
Now, do you have a GED or high school diploma?
No, sir. I have a statement from the Department of Education, sir, stating my inability to receive a GED.
Okay. So you're unable to receive it. What grade did you drop out of school in?
10th, sir.
10th?
Yes, sir.
And why did you drop out?
Well, because I was looking for work that support the family, so that's why I signed up, go to the service.
So you went to the service. You were in the service for how long?
I was down there for 2 years, sir.
Okay, thank you for your service. Now tell me a little bit about the crime. Tell me what was going on with you during this time.
What was going on with me on my stuff?
During this time with you, when you committed this crime, tell me what was going on with you. What were you? Had you been drinking? Have you been on drugs? Talk to me and tell me what happened.
Oh, no, sir, I wasn't doing that. It was the thing that, I was trying to have this affair with this lady, and we had made some arrangement, but it never did go through because she didn't want to cooperate. So, this how it all came about. I got angry with her and everything. And it wasn't her fault, but what I was doing, I wasn't never supposed to have did that. At that time I was immature. And when she refused it me, I just couldn't accept that. And that led me to done the erroneous crime that I did with by killing her. And at the time, I just couldn't accept her refusing me, and
So what'd you do? What'd you do to her?
well, I killed her. So I got her over anxious and I killed her, and I had a 2x4 that I used, and several times I hit her in the head with it, sir.
And then you just left her there?
Yes, sir.
And when were you picked up?
Sir.
How long were you picked up after that?
When were you arrested?
Oh,
Arrested.
I was arrested no more than 2 days.
You turn yourself in or somebody came and got you?
They came and got me from my mother's house.
How old was your victim?
She was somewhere in the 20s, so I couldn't tell you. I think it's 23, 24, somewhere around there.
You spent a lot of time in jail. Tell me what you've been doing since you've been in jail. What kind of work have you been doing on yourself?
Well, sir, I've been taking courses and I've been doing great with the courses since my last write-up. You know, I've been changed and I've been transferred from one person to another because I'm not the same person I was at the time I committed this crime. And these programs here, they've been helping me out, sir.
Where have you been transferred from? What prison? You said you're transferred from one prison to another. Where were you before?
I was at
Came here.
Angola. I was at Angola and came over here to Hunts.
When did you come? When did you go to Hunts?
2011.
And so you gonna had a couple. So all your write-ups were at Angola, and you have had just a couple since you've been at Hunt.
Yes, sir.
You've had 178 total write-ups. That's an awful lot.
Oh, yes, sir, it was. I take full responsibility for that because, you know, I was in denial at the time, you know. And
We see some people in here for just a couple, for 30, 40 years, and they just have a couple of them. 178, you've definitely done plenty.
well,
So
sir,
go ahead.
I mean, say at the time I got these write-ups, so like I said, I take full responsibility for me being immature and, you know, I was in denial then, you know, just like I was during the time when I met my victim.
Where did you come across your victim? You just met her? You knew her?
Yes, sir, I met her a couple of times and
You knew her? So somebody you knew?
yes, sir.
And had y'all had a relationship before?
No, sir, that's what I was trying to establish then, a permanent relationship. So I wanted to be with her, but she really didn't want to be with me.
So you said you tried to take the GED, or you worked on it and realized that you can't, you're not capable of completing the GED. What are some courses that you've taken that have really been helpful to you? What type of courses have you taken?
Where I took a transition management, anger management. I took well, sir, I took quite a few courses, but all of them was helpful to me. And I've been taking church courses and
Which ones have been the most helpful to you? What have they taught you? What have they taught you about yourself, about your crime, about your victim, about anything you plan on doing?
well, it taught me how to control my anger, you know, and how to handle myself in situations where it could be detrimental to others. I've been an official and done the official, you know, it's a situation where you got to be able to handle different people. And I was taught how to do that in situations like that, where things would not have to get out of control and how to help other people control their life.
What do you currently do in the facility? What's your job? What do you do?
Well, my last job was maintenance, and that's working inside the institution, doing, you know, various job like carpenter, plumbing, electrician, so forth like this. Another job I had, so was working the field, and that was one of my specialties, working out the fields. That's doing lawn work.
So what are your plans? Where are you going to go? What you going to do? What's your plan?
Well, my plan is to go live with my sister and to go out there and be an asset and not a liability, and help my sister and others who may need help. And like I got brothers and nephews and sisters, nephews and nieces out there that some of them real young that, you know, I could set them on the straight path if they decide to take any other means of having life like they want out there in the streets.
So where you go? Where's your sister live? Where you going?
But so she live in Cottonport, Louisiana.
that where you got in this trouble at?
Yes, sir.
Is that where this all went down? That the crime?
Yes, sir.
You got any input for us?
Sir,
Gordon, do you have any input for us?
Yes, sir. You know, again, this is it's a horrible situation, horrible crime. Can't take it back. You know, I talked with Mr. Mathews at length about it. You know, he seems to be pretty remorseful about it. Again, a horrible situation. He has taken some programs. He's been with us. He's been doing well. Hasn't had a write-up in a couple of years. He works. I think he's on the right track. I'd like to see him complete the victim impact and maybe a refresher in Cage of Rage. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Sure, we answer Ms. Bonnie Jackson, please.
Mr. Matthews, have you been seen by the mental health department since you've been in prison? Has anyone from a psychiatrist or anybody with mental health?
no, ma'am.
Well,
No, ma'am.
and so you never had to be on any kind of medication or anything like that?
No, ma'am.
Now, when did you enlist in the military?
What's it?
When did you enlist in the military?
Oh, that was in 1968, ma'am.
And you were in the military for 2 years?
I got out in 1970.
How did you end up getting out?
Well, ma'am, I was stationed in North Korea, and it made me homesick. So I wanted to leave from there and come home, and I asked to be discharged, ma'am.
All right, and so stationed in North Korea the whole time you were deployed?
Well, I was in South Korea, but I was doing my post duty in North Korea, and I didn't go nowhere from there until I came home.
Do you have any children?
No, ma'am.
Because I saw somewhere in your paperwork that you said you had one child, but I guess that was a mistake. Is your sister an older sister or a younger sister?
She's my older sister, ma'am.
How old is she?
Mm.
How old is she?
I think she's 2 or 3 years older than I am, sir.
And maybe she's around 75?
75.
I'm at. You think she's about 75?
Yes, ma'am. She could be about 75.
What kind of health is she in?
Ma'am.
What kind of health is she in?
She live in the house that's on our property, ma'am.
I said,
Our
what,
family property.
What kind of help is she?
Oh, what kind of health? Oh, she in fairly good health, and she's still trying to work though. And she's a retired nurse, but she's still trying to supplement some of the income for her.
and what kind of work do you think you can do?
Well, ma'am, by job scale, you know, I'm agriculture. I work agriculture, and I do all kind of combines and tractor operators and truck drivers, and this is the type of things I'll be doing on farms. So cotton picking, soybean combine.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Matthews.
I see you've been in the hospital a few times. What, you have some medical issues?
Yes, sir.
What you got?
Well, I'm COPD and diabetic. And one time I went for intoxication, so
Intoxication, when was that? When was that?
that was in 2018, so. And from that experience there, that led me to change my whole life around from that experience. I've been going to the program, AANA, it's been helping me out, and I've been clean since then.
Yeah, tell me, so in 2018 for intoxication?
Yes, sir.
And what was the intoxication? What was it for?
It's for Mojo, so. I was going through some things at the time. My mom had died and everything, and I was just, you know,
You got
depressed.
got COPD and you've been in jail for 40-some years, 50 years, and you smoked Mojo in 2018?
Yes, sir.
What, just put you out? You had to go to the hospital?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay. Now we'll hear from Mr. Andrew Hunley. Wait, Ms. Andrew, before you speak, I apologize, Mr. Lancaster, and the attorney, please introduce yourself. That was rude of me. I apologize.
It's fine. I won't take it personal, Mr. Kelsey. My name is Renee Pierre. I'm a third-year law student at the LSU Parole and Reentry Clinic. I'm also a certified legal intern under Rule 20 of the Louisiana Supreme Court. Clearly, I'll be representing Mr. Mathews throughout this hearing today. Along with me is my supervisor, Professor Robert Lancaster. And at the end of today's hearing, I'd like to make a closing statement if the board allows. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, Mr. Hunley, would you like to make a statement?
Yes, thank you. Andrew Hunley, Executive Director of Louisiana Parole Project, would like to talk to you about our proposed reentry plan for Walter. But first, if I could talk to the board about Act 544 of the last legislative session. Our organization helped get this legislation drafted and passed through because pre-1973, a life sentence in Louisiana was a little different than it is today. A life sentence was generally 10 years and 6 months before 1973. In 1973, the legislature changed that to life with parole after 20 years. In 77, it changed to life with parole after 40 years. And then in 79, life became life. So the issue was individuals who went to prison with a life sentence before 73, who had not met their 10 years and 6 months by 73, the goalpost sort of moved on them into where 79, there wasn't an opportunity for release. There were about 60 individuals still serving those sentences in the Department of Corrections. The legislature determined that they wanted to provide a look back for those individuals, and there was a compromise between all interested parties that bill only applied to individuals who pled guilty. So Act 544 applies to fewer than 20 people in the Department of Corrections who, when they were sentenced, thought they would serve 10 years and 6 months and now has served over 50 years. So Mr. Mathews is one of those fewer than 20 people this applies to. So we're here today as Parole Project on behalf of Mr. Mathews because we want to commit to the board that if he is released, that we will provide reentry services to him. Would like to inform the board that it was our plan for Mr. Mathews to come through our short-term reentry program if he is granted parole, but our organization is also committed, as we have before for other older prisoners, to provide long-term reentry housing for him. If the board were to determine that they don't want to release him back to a Balls Parish, Parole Project, similarly to other individuals his age, would keep him in our long-term housing program until we can transition him to his own apartment. Part of that reentry is going to be long-term transportation, long-term mentoring, ensuring that he has access to the healthcare needs that he has, that he needs, ensuring that he has access to all the wraparound services, including mental health, that would be necessary. Our organization understands the warden has made a couple of recommendations for treatment, whether the continued treatment happens in the prison before a potential release or our organization can provide that for him. We just want to tell you that our organization stands ready to provide him that support with whatever conditions that this honorable board may pass on if he's granted, and I stand ready to answer any questions that you may have for regarding his reentry. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll hear from Mr. Lionel Mathews now.
Yes, sir. I'm Lionel Mathews, nephew of Walter Mathews. I have 23 years in the United States Army. I'm a veteran, retired, and I also have 19 years in the Houston Fire Department. A few things I would say, and I like how Mr. Lancaster put it. He said the goalpost has moved, and it has moved plenty of times. Also, I do know my uncle has changed, and from that change, I have noticed because it's like planting a seed. He has changed so much to where the thing that he has actually taught me, I have taught others, and that has taught others. So it just keep on trickling down. So the change that I have seen that he has actually changed me, I have changed others, and others has changed. So when it comes to change, I have seen it. I'm a living witness to the change, and others has changed. And when I have visited him, a few personnel in there was like, "Hey, you know this guy?" I said, "Yeah, that's my uncle." And they said, "Man, you're lucky." And that just made me feel good. Even though he was in a facility like that, that still made me feel good because I don't know them from night or day, but they come up to me and let me know he has changed their life. And that's all I like to say.
All right, thank you for your comment. Thank you for your service, sir.
Or
All right, we'll hear from Miss Edna Mathews now. Miss Edna? Still on?
Here we are.
Okay,
Here we
I can
are.
hear you.
Okay, my name is Edna Mathews Williams. Walter Mathews, we call Sonny, is my younger brother. I'm not 75, I'm only 73, but that's okay, baby. That's all right.
All right.
Anyway, I don't want to get emotional, but what I do have to say for our family is that we miss him terribly. He's been locked up for quite a long time. He's seen a lot of losses in our lives. We've lost all of our brothers, both our parents and grandparents. He has inspired me on many occasions. In my 73 years, I've gone through a whole lot of changes. I've lost 2 children and grandchildren. At any rate, my concern is that he come home and help me out a little bit. I've been helping him through the years. We've been encouraging each other through the years. We've got 18 acres of land that need to be worked and raise us a little change while he's there. We love him so dearly. Even though he's far away from us, we love him and we try our best to stay in contact with him. I have 17 great grandchildren. Most of them are boys, and they could use some inspiration. He's been through a lot, and I'm quite sure he can teach them a lot. I won't take up your time. Thank you for your time.
So much. Okay, we can hear from Miss Carrie Fidelic. Fidelic, thank you.
Am I allowed to ask a question to the,
You can only speak to us. You speak to the board only.
can you ask him if he knows his victim's name?
Just you speak to us specifically.
All right,
We're not gonna translate through. You just.
okay, so I am Carrie, I am
Carrie.
Carrie Fidelic. I am the victim's daughter. I was 9 months old when my mother was murdered. He has denied me the privilege of ever calling anyone mom. He has taken so much from our family. The hardest part for me, because I was 9 months old when he murdered my mother, so I never knew her. I don't grieve for the memory of her because I never knew her. I grieve for the loss that she had to endure while she was laying there dying, knowing she was never going to see her children again. And he did nothing to help her. When I had my first child, my dad came to visit me in New York. I was living in New York. And the first thing he said to me was, you know, she has your mother in her. And it hit me like a ton of bricks because it's true. And I'm sorry, I'm just really, I didn't realize I was going to be speaking, but I think he deserves to stay in prison. He's been in there for 51 years and he has no idea how old his victim was when he murdered her. If I was in prison for murdering someone, I think I would at least know how old they were. I would have spent time thinking about it every single day. And he doesn't even know the simple detail of how old she was. What if he has an infatuation with me when he gets out, or my sister when he gets out, and we deny him? Is he going to come and murder me also? I don't know. I think he deserves to stay in prison. My mother is staying in heaven. That's permanent. So he should be somewhere permanent as well. That's it.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your comment. Ms. Tanya Campbell.
I would like to say that I've already met Walter. I went through the victims program. So I want to first and foremost thank him for today verbalizing his crime, because I didn't get that at the face-to-face meeting. And it really helps to hear him admit that crime. I think my sister said a lot of what's important. Neither one of us, I was 2. I think it affected me a little differently because I did know her. There's not a day that goes by that my life hasn't been affected by that crime. But I do trust the justice system to do its job. And I would just pray that if he is released, that he would use the rest of his life to honor my mother's memory and my family's pain. Because make no mistake, there has been 51 years of pain one way or the other with members of our family. You don't forget something like this. It radically changed my life and my sister's life. But I do trust the justice system, and I hope that y'all make the right decision today.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, Walter, would you like to make a statement on your behalf?
Yes, sir. The crime I committed, it was something that I never had the intention to do. And the lady name, that's Miss Clara Tubry. That's her name. And it hurts me just to be thinking about this, because this lady, she never did nothing wrong, It was all on me. She couldn't, she couldn't do nothing wrong in my sight. It was me, all on me. And for this, I'm being remorseful because it hurt me to see that my family and their family is going through the misgrief and the suffering and the pain that they're going through that I caused them to go through. And, at times it be unbearable for me to accept this. So I pray that somehow, the good Lord would see that they have a fruitful life and be blessed. And I like to say a short prayer, if that's good for you. It says, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change and the things that I can change. And I need to have the wisdom to know the difference and living one day at a time and enjoying one moment at a time and talking as he did and with him forever and ever. Amen. And I pray that my victim family will have some kind of closure for me being here and facing them, although I know it's not much, but it's the least I can do. Thank you.
Hey, Ms. Renee, would you like to wrap up for us?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Kelsey. I'll try to keep it brief. Mr. Mathews has spent his time incarcerated. He spent every night with his guilt, every night, every morning, and this guilt will keep him from ever reoffending ever again if he is given the opportunity to re-enter society. The last 4 years, he's made leaps and bounds to transform and become a much, much different person than he was when he entered at 19. Mr. Kelsey, I know you said something about his abundance of write-ups. With the parole project, Mr. Mathews will continue to transform and have opportunity to make up for those decisions he made before he was incarcerated, as well as the things he did while incarcerated. He will have access to a social worker who will work with him and ease the tension he may endure, or any stress he may encounter while he's out. With the support of the Parole Project, as well as Ms. Edna, the rest of his family, Mr. Mathews wants to make a positive contribution to society he effectively hurt at one point in time. He's extremely apologetic, and he is ready. He's ready to be released. And with that, I respectfully ask the board to grant Mr. Mathews early release on parole under any conditions the board deems necessary and appropriate for success. Thank you.
Thank you. Panel prepared to vote. Warden, what the victim impact class? What is that?
Victim impact class. It's
How long is that? What is it? How long is it?
It's 10 weeks.
Mr. Mathews, tough situation, tough case here, all the way around. So difficult. You spent a lot of time in jail. You can hear the pain from the family that you caused. It really is. It's a difficult thing. You've done a lot of good work. Listen, I don't like the fact that just in 2018 you had that little setback. That's, that's not good, because you're gonna have to, if you do get out, or when you get out, you'll come across some stressful situations. How are you gonna handle it out there? You couldn't handle it while you were in there. You've done 51 years. You put a lot of time in. You've done a lot of work. You're right. You had a lot of disciplinaries, but you cut them down. I am concerned about you, but I'll give you a chance today, me. I would vote to grant your parole. I want you to complete the 10-week victim awareness first in the facility there. After you complete that, then you'll be released to the Parole Project. I would like you to be in long-term housing, long-term care for him. I want you to have no contact with the victim's family. But I would like for you to stay with the Parole Project, Andrew, if that's possible. I would want you to have a curfew from 9 p to 6 a. I would want you to do some community service, about 4 hours a month. Some community service, give back to the community, talk to people. No contact with the victim's family. And that's it. Just one vote, that's me. Good luck. Miss Jackson.
First, I'd like to say to Ms. Tubray's family, I thank you all for being here, and I thank you for your input. I hope that somehow this process has been somewhat cathartic for you. I'm glad that Matthews knows your mom's name. So that suggests to me that he has thought a lot about what he's done. And so I thank you all for being here. Mr. Matthews, I do believe that you have genuine remorse for what you've done. It was a terrible crime, and I don't minimize it in any way, but I believe that your remorse is genuine. And so you served 51 years in prison. And I think that you have, I won't say earned, because you can't earn release, but I would feel comfortable at this point voting in favor of your release. You have a good support system, particularly not just your family, but with the parole project. So my vote today would be a conditional grant upon completion of the 10-week victim impact class, and then you could be released to the Louisiana Parole Project with the same parole conditions as Mr.
Raymond?
I concur with my colleagues, and I also vote.
But you have 3 votes to grant your parole. Your parole's been granted. You understand stipulations. You have to complete the victim impact class 10 weeks, successfully completed. And you have a curfew 9 p to 6 a. You have community service 4 hours a month, and you'll have no contact with the victim's family. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
3 votes to grant. Your parole's been granted. Good luck to you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Well, let's unpack that. Who else is surprised? Now, if you've seen enough of these cases, you might recall that 10-6 law. I didn't realize now that there are only 20 people that fell under that. Fewer than 20 people that fell under the 544 bill, which basically states that, so people they made these deals that would give them a life sentence, but allowed them basically to serve 10 years and 6 months and get out on parole. It's a 10-6 law. I don't know what genius came up with that, and it seems to really have made little sense. We're seeing people with all different levels of crime being offered this 10-6 deal. I do wonder if the board is simply releasing anyone who signed the deal. It's now kind of like starting to click that we're seeing people getting released that wouldn't otherwise, I think, get released. But that wasn't a good interview at all. He's got one of the largest and highest amounts of write-ups I think we've seen. Yeah, he's been locked up a really long time, but the type of crime he committed was, and the way he described it was just disturbing, frankly. She didn't want to be with me, so I got mad. I tried finding records of it. I couldn't online. Probably because he did the plea deal, there was no appeal. But I know a few of you, if you want to help me find some old newspaper articles, I can post them. Here they have their 2 daughters that want him to stay locked up. They're still in pain. They're feeling victimized all over again. It's I think the only man who was ever served in North Korea after the Korean War. I guess he's just been locked up for so long he doesn't quite remember how things work. I don't know. I'm at a loss for words. Like, where are we here? He's 72 years old. He's been locked up for 51 years. He stabbed a woman to death because she rejected his advances. Then had just really a very unimpressive prison career. They say, "Oh, go take this victim awareness class. It's 10 weeks and then you get out." It's like, yeah, I think we can really just sum it up to is that they have some type of mission to release everyone who signed this 10-6 deal, and there's 20 on the list, and we'll get to see all of them get released. I mean, that's frankly the only thing I can think of. You get a life sentence. You can't really articulate what horrible of a crime it was. It seems that he didn't even own up to it to the victim when he met with them, Tanya. He denied it, I think she was alluding to, and this was the first time he admitted it in front of her, at least. Do you think he's remorseful? He does know her name. He didn't know her age, or at least he wasn't able to remember it. And I don't know, man. He can, he can still be dangerous. He can still hurt someone, and his prison record doesn't make it seem like. I mean, he was just busted for doing mojo. Okay. Well, I need your help on this. Do you think someone has served enough time, 51 years, for doing? It was his first felony offense, so he didn't have a record. He had gone to the army. He's, seemed like a pretty regular dude, regular guy his age that then just snapped. But is he, how does someone just, you take a mother, leaving these two little babies all alone because she said no to you. I don't think someone who does that has the right to get out. Not when their victims are, not when her daughters are there. And not when you have the records that he has. But yeah, again, I need your help on this. Love to hear your thoughts. And with that, I'll let you go.